Part 25. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, B.H. Yaya 11U. Chapter 243. At night, Yaya and Xiaobao slept between Sukingmei and Sukingliu. There was a warm kong under them, and they were warm. Xiaobao used to play with his brothers and sisters, but he had never slept with them. Now he slept with a little sister, which was both novel and fun. He immediately forgot to ask his mother whether to count the fingers of one hand or two hands. He played happily with sister Yaya on the bed. The two siblings held hands and lay down to talk. They had been talking all night and still didn't sleep. Sukingmei didn't care about her and talked to Sukingliu. That Wei Fu came. Sukingmei asked about him. She didn't know how to place him. He was the lifesaver of her sister and Yaya, and it was natural to let him live at home. But Sukingmei felt that Wei Fu Kane didn't look like a farmer. He was literate and had some knowledge. He looked very different from ordinary farmers. If he was allowed to live at home without an identity, he would probably feel uncomfortable. Without him, Yaya and I would probably be gone. Yeah, I know. Ching'an, let's not make him feel uncomfortable. Let him do whatever he wants. Let him stay or leave, okay? Okay. Su Ching'an said nothing more. How long do you think it will take for parents to receive our letter? Sukingliu asked again. At night, she and Ching'an wrote a long letter to her parents and brothers and sisters. She missed them so much. Su Ching'an estimated the time it took to send and receive letters before, and said, "It's hard to say now. The situation on the road is not good. It will take at least a month. I don't know if it will take longer. It's possible that they won't receive it." Sukingliu was a little worried after hearing this. We encountered many caravans being robbed along the way. Many wealthy families were robbed by mountain bandits on the road. Some of them didn't survive. It's too tragic. Su Ching'an sighed. Yes. Now the common people have no way to make a living, they can't even eat, and they don't care about anything else. They all join the bandits. Bandits are emerging in an endless stream. It is impossible to survive alone. It is better to join a bandit group. There are more people and maybe you can survive. Alas, in this world, I don't know when peace will come. It won't be peaceful in a short time. Lu Bachan said that there will be a small battle every 3 days and a big battle every 5 days. He misses his son and can't even ask for leave. It's great that my brother-in-law is still alive. Xiaobao also has a father. Having a father is the same as not having a father. I don't know when I can see him. Sukingmei sighed slowly. As long as we are alive, we will always meet. I'm just afraid. Well. As long as we are alive, there will be a chance. He also said that he saved a small jar of gold for Xiaobao to buy property and get married. Sister, do you think he is thinking too far? Xiaobao will only be 2 years old next month. Sukingliu saw her look of disgust and sneered. My brother-in-law must be so happy. Su Ching'an curled her lips. He's like a fool. When dividing the spoils, others want pearls and jade, but he wants gold. Can gold be more valuable than pearls and jade? Sukingliu laughed again. My brother-in-law is smart. Now pearls and jade can't be sold outside, only gold is valuable. Then you can save it first. When peace comes in the future, how many jars of gold can be exchanged for a jar of pearls and jade? The two sisters talked all night, as if they couldn't finish talking. It wasn't until dawn that they stopped. After breakfast, Wei Fu came told Su Ching'an that he wanted to go to the new village with Si Yuan to take a look. In just one night, I'm afraid they talked a lot, and they looked like good brothers. Okay. Si Yuan, you go and take a look, and carry some food over. Exchange Si Yuan back and let him rest. I want him to go to Renzo. Okay. Si Yuan agreed, and went to the new village with Wei Fu King. Su Qingliu looked at Wei Fukang's departing back and smiled at Su Qing'an. He seems to be alive. Su Qing'an nodded. It's good to find something to do, but I'm afraid of having no ambition to live. After breakfast, Su Qing'an took Su Qingliu and Yaya around the village and met many people. The mother and daughter had never lived in the mountains before, and they were surprised by everything they saw. Seeing the small building of the villagers, people lived upstairs and raised livestock downstairs. The latrine was dug on the second floor, people squatted on the second floor, and the poop fell directly into the pigsty. Even the mother and daughter were surprised and stared at it. Lu laughed. Qingliu is the same as me and Ruyi before. Now we are used to it. Su Qingliu was a little embarrassed. Walking in the village, seeing everyone greet her enthusiastically after learning her identity, she felt warm in her heart. And Yaya had been dragged by Xiaobao to meet many big and small friends. Su Qingliu's smile became even brighter. After dinner, I saw the mother and daughter of the Lu family going to dig bamboo shoots, so I also took the basket and wanted to follow. Yaya also wanted to go. When Yaya went, Xiaobao wanted to go too. Su Qingmei saw this and decided that the whole family would go to dig bamboo shoots. After being soaked in snow water for a whole winter, bamboo shoots have emerged one after another. They can be seen everywhere in the forest. Now everyone knows the deliciousness of bamboo shoots and bamboo fungus through Su Qingmei's promotion. After digging, go to the stream, peel the bamboo shoots, soak them in mountain spring water to remove the astringency, go back to the pot, add some oil, add some wax meat and smoked meat stored before the new year, and stir-fry. The fragrance can spread for miles. Even if the children scrape the edge of the pot, they can't be driven away. There are not many wild vegetables now, and there are many people digging bamboo shoots in the forest. When they see Su Qingmei, they greet her. When they hear that the woman next to them is her sister, they even give her the bamboo shoots in the basket as a gift. Su Qingliu, who had escaped the environment of cannibalism outside, was also a nimble woman. She also had experience in opening a shop in Fengting town, and she quickly became friendly with the woman in the bamboo forest. I don't want the bamboo shoots. You all dug them with your own efforts. If you don't mind, teach me how to find and dig them. I also support myself and don't eat my sisters in vain. When the women saw how happy she was, they were happy to take her with them. Your sister is very happy that you can come. Where can you get freebies? Besides, in our mountains, as long as you work hard, there is plenty to eat. Yes, when spring comes, there will be a lot of wild vegetables in the mountains, and there will be endless fungi to collect. That's right. Your sister told us that there are more edible fungi now. This is bamboo fungus. We didn't know how to eat it before, so we let it rot in the forest. Now we pick it home and add it to the soup. It's so fresh that your eyebrows will fall off. Su Qingliu happily followed her aunt and sister-in-law, digging more and more happily in the bamboo forest. When Su Qingliu saw that she had integrated well, she was also relieved. Looking at Xiaobao again, the little one can instruct Sister Yaya to pick bamboo fungus. Here, here. Be gentle. Oh, sister, you crushed it? Mom said you have to take off this black lid so you can't eat it. Good. The two siblings were running around looking for dead leaves, while the other was picking them up. They seemed to be cooperating in a tacit understanding. The two guys, who were just a little older, were running around in the woods, entertaining a lot of people. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, Bhaya 11U. Chapter 244. Su Qingliu stayed in the village for 2 days and felt like a fish in water. After Si Yuan came back, as soon as she heard that Su Qingneo wanted to pick some tea leaves to take to Renzo, she immediately carried the basket with Qingneo and Ruyi and went up the mountain. Xiaobao would not dare to take him into the mountains this time. Fortunately, he has Miss Yaya to accompany him now, and he is no longer clinging to Su Qingneo. Every morning when he wakes up, he sees his sister Yaya sleeping next to him, which is very strange. It only took 2 days to get used to it. Yaya takes good care of him. After he wakes up, Yaya will find clothes for him to wear, take him to pee, and wipe his face and hands. Having Miss Yaya as a companion also reduces the chance of Xiaobao finding Sukingyu. The group left the 2 children and entered the mountain. After a winter of deep sleep, some wild animals have begun to come out and move around. Sukingyu would not dare to enter the mountain alone without Ziyuan following him. Along the way into the mountains, Ziyuan also shot a lot of wild animals, which opened up Sukingliu's horizons a lot. There was meat to eat again. I have eaten a lot of meat in the past 2 days. I had never dared to think about it before. The group arrived at a place with wild tea trees. Sukingneo taught Sukingliu and Ruyi to pick the bud tips in the middle of the tea leaves and demonstrated it to them. Ruyi and Sukingliu got started immediately as they both came from farmers' families and were both quick and agile. Even Ziyuan learned it from the side and picked it up a lot. After picking for several days, I got a lot. Sukingyu tried frying a pot and got more than a pound. Use several sealed bamboo cans one by one to pack 13 cans. Carrying only 10 jars on his back, he took the second batch of medicinal materials sent by Lingfeng Valley and some mountain products, and went to Renzhou with Ziyuan. This time, Xiaobao stopped chasing him. Sukingliu hugged him and saw him off on the mountain road, and Yaya also held his little hand. He only felt bored for a while and was fine. Knowing that the person holding him is called aunt, a relative, and that he has sister Yaya as his companion, he no longer misses Sukingneo so much. Also listened to coaxing. Yaya looked at Sukingyu's retreating figure and said to Sukingliu, "Mom, I like it here." Sukingliu smiled at her and said, "Yes, Mom likes it too. Come on, let's take Xiaobao to bake some millet." "Okay, Xiaobao, let's go and bake the millet." When Xiaobao heard this, he turned around and ran to the flower hall hand in hand with Yaya. In the governor's office, Painian was also looking forward to Sukingyu's arrival. "It's been a winter, and I don't know how the market town she said she was going to build was going." Mrs. Ma was very happy with Sukingyu's arrival and immediately arranged for people to prepare the guest room. "I'm just looking forward to your coming. We sent almost all the mountain goods you sent us to the north. Everyone in the family is thinking about it. If you want to eat, send someone to the mountain and I will bring it to you. That's good for catching up." Before the 2 of them could catch up on old times, Painian recruited her. After hearing him ask about the market town, Sukingyu told the story. "That's good. It looks like it will be completed next month." Sukingyu nodded, "Yes. I gave them a 2-month construction period, and we cannot delay spring plowing." "Yes, spring plowing is a big deal. Filling your stomach is the most important thing now. When you finish building it, I will go into the mountain to take a look." "Okay, you're welcome to go. What I'm worried about now is that each village has local products that can be traded with each other or taken out, but it's not easy for them to buy their daily needs. I went to Fengcheng once before and found that the price of food, the price of salt has gone up again, and many of the daily necessities that I want to buy are unavailable." Painian sighed deeply after hearing this. Now there is peace in some places in the south, and there is no shortage of supplies. However, there are bandits along the way, and things cannot be delivered to various places. After thinking for a while, he said, "I will explain this matter to Manager Li. There are more than 20 villages with thousands of people, and he will be interested in this business. When the time comes, you will exchange what you have and it will be mutually beneficial." "Okay. I really want to find him this time." Painian looked over at her. "Didn't we sell tea seeds in the mountains last year? There are a lot of wild teas in the mountains. I wonder if they want tea leaves there. If we can sell some tea leaves, we can also make some money. I have a new way of drinking tea, which is not I know what everyone's eating habits are nowadays. Oh. What's the new way to have tea? Painian was very interested. He likes to drink tea, which helps him wake up and wake up. But he doesn't like to drink the tea that everyone drinks nowadays, which is fried and boiled, with a bunch of random things added to it. Sukingyu almost made him a close friend. She really can't get used to drinking the tea that people like to drink nowadays. Make the tea leaves into tea cakes. When drinking, mash them into powder, mix them with green onions, ginger, and orange peels, and add salt to cook. In Sukinjao's opinion, it was just like the current vegetable soup. Except making tea. There are also sencha and sizzling tea. Bring the water to a boil, first add salt, then mustard, and finally add tea leaves and fry until boiling. Sukingyu felt that this was like decoction. I heard that someone invented some tea. Put the powdered tea leaves into a teacup, first make the tea into a paste with water, and then brew it with boiling water. Some people also put some random seasonings in it. Just like this, Sukingyu felt it was a bit like the sesame paste, soy milk, and the like she used to make in the morning. She knew that there were probably many princes and nobles in the Shuo dynasty who liked to make tea. I heard that the tea ceremony was very popular, and all the princes and courtiers drank it. But she really would rather drink plain water. The upper-class nobles played tricks on tea drinking, but she was only used to brewing clear soup tea. There is nothing else in the tea, only the tea buds are clearly visible, rising and falling, just like life. The aroma of tea may be strong or light, and the most intoxicating thing is to smell it before drinking. Sukingyu followed the steward of the inner courtyard of the governor's office and went to the warehouse to find a set of white porcelain. The color is white, dense and transparent. After taking it over and brewing the tea, you can clearly see the color of the tea soup. When she finished brewing, the lingering fragrance of tea came to her nostrils, refreshing and light. Painian leaned over and fell in love with it at first sight. In the white porcelain cup, the tea soup is green and smooth in color, and the aroma is fresh and noble, not strong, very elegant and attractive. Take a sip and smack it in your mouth a few times, the taste is fresh and sweet. It has a tender fragrance and a light fragrance. After sipping it twice more, I felt that there was a softness in the fragrance. Looking inside the teapot again, the buds and leaves are standing one by one, floating up and down. Good tea aroma. Sukingyu was a little embarrassed by his praise. I only have theoretical knowledge, and it's my first time to fry tea. Maybe the heat is not very good. If there is a good tea frying master, this tea will be even better. Like adults, I prefer this refreshing method of brewing tea buds. When I drink it, there are not so many other flavors, only the unique aroma of tea. Painian nodded repeatedly. Yes, you are right, it is great to drink it like this. Add whatever salt and seasoning you want. I don't like that. Salt is expensive now, maybe this brewing method will spread. After saying that, he couldn't sit still anymore and immediately called someone over. Hurry up and call Manager Li from the caravan into the house. The attendant responded and left. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, Bhaya 11U. Chapter 245. Manager Li from the caravan arrived soon. Read. I also fell in love with this brewing method. He took the teacup and looked at it carefully, then put it under his nose and smelled it again and again. I like the aroma of this tea. This brewing method is the most convenient when traveling. It's also easy to boil and fry. Sukingyu's heart dropped. Do you want this tea leaf? Yes, why not? After speaking, he looked at the jars of tea brought by Sukingyu. Did you fry them? Yes. I have learned some before, but have never really done it. I can tell you several methods of frying tea, and you can find someone to study it. Okay, thank you very much. Then we have collected all the tea leaves from Madame Su. Su Qingyu felt happy. Somewhat unsure, there are so many wild tea trees on our mountain, and the rolling green hills, can Manager Li eat them all? Manager Li and Master Pei looked at each other, and both of them smiled. Su Qingyu was really unsure. Because she knew that in many dynasties, tea was sold by officials under the official system. Just like salt, if you want to sell tea, you must have a tea guide. From the history she knew, the rulers of many dynasties did not allow private individuals to trade tea. The government also organized a special inspection team for tea smuggling to strictly investigate tea smugglers. There is a stipulation in Tang law: smugglers who sell tea 3 times and the total amount exceeds 300 kilograms shall be punished with death. Many tea plantations were established by the imperial court across the country. For example, in the Song dynasty, 13 tea plantations were established across the country. In the long history, each dynasty controlled the tea franchise because tea was used to trade with foreigners in exchange for horses. The tea horse trade was the main part of the trade between the government and the nomads. There is a book record: people are addicted to cheese and cannot drink tea because of illness. Therefore, since the Tang and Song dynasties, the method of changing horses with tea has been practiced. Therefore, Peter's tea brings good fortune, and I get a horse and my army becomes more powerful. This is a true portrayal of the tea horse trade. In order to obtain tea, the nomads even used scarce resources such as war horses to trade. Therefore, all dynasties and generations have always implemented government-operated and official sales in the tea trade. In fact, when Su Qingyu was picking tea fruits last autumn, she had thought about tea. But she didn't dare to act rashly. Zhu Yuanzhang, a concubine, was sentenced to death for selling tea privately. So, you have to make money, but your life is important. But then I thought again, this is Shuoqiao, right? Moreover, under the current situation, the emperor doesn't even know who is sitting there. He will starve the bold to death and starve to death the timid. Right? Who makes her short of money? Very lacking. Smuggling is the most profitable thing, right? Su Qingyu started to get ready to make a move. She still has a son to raise. Don't you have to spend money to raise a child? There are so many people under her, and these people don't need food, drink, or clothing, right? Everyone should reach out to her. She can tell them that your boss has no money, so you can fend for yourself. Can you tell me? Cannot. You should also pretend to be rich. Su Qingyu thought of this and looked at Pei Nian and Manager Li. Pei Nian couldn't speak out because of his identity. Manager Li spoke. If it had been earlier, I wouldn't have dared to discuss the tea business with Madame Su. I don't have any extra heads to be beheaded. Su Qingyu was wailing in her heart, so she just said it. Then I heard Manager Li say, in our court, the tax on tea is 1 out of 10, and the tax on tea is over $1 million a year, which is only a little less than the tax on salt. It can be said to be an important source of tax revenue for the court. We businessmen just think about it. When it comes to making money, I don't dare to reach out without tea. Sure enough, no ruler in the past dynasties would let go of the profit-making tool of tea. Seeing that Su Qingyu was a little disappointed, Manager Li and Pei Nian looked at each other again. He smiled and said, but it's different now. The common people don't have enough to eat, and people are grabbing it to eat. They don't care whether you have tea drinks. The person in charge of tea drinks doesn't know who he belongs to. Su Qingyu's eyes lit up. Is Manager Li going to do this business? It's profitable, why not do it? Readily. I just like doing business with people who have a bottom line, know practical things, and know how to seize opportunities. Su Qingyu couldn't help but secretly say Su. Then my mountain can produce a lot of tea, can you eat it? Su Qingyu asked again. Don't worry. Take as much as you can. How much do you want? Now that the Shuo dynasty is fighting within itself, the foreign tribes have not heard of the intruders. Are you selling them to foreign tribes for horses? And then do something big? Su Qinjiao looked at Manager Li. He looked calm and drank the tea that was very fragrant, so there was nothing wrong with it. Forget it, I sell my tea, and I have no control over where the other party sells it. Okay. I just don't know what kind Li Guanqi wants. If it's the kind of tea cakes and tea powder that all the scholar bureaucrats in the Shuo dynasty drank, then I'll order Cai Cha Cheng. If you want the kind of fresh buds I just brewed, I'm afraid it will be difficult to measure. Not much. I was busy in the mountains all day that day. I went up the mountain before the dew had gone, and didn't go back down until dark. I only picked more than a pound of fresh sprouts in one day. And when I fried them, it took 4 or 5 pounds to get one. Gin dry tea. Manager Li knew the inside story, but this was the first time Pei Nian heard that it took 1 day to collect 1 or 2 kilograms of fresh buds, and it took 2 or 3 days to make 1 kilogram of dry tea. Somewhat surprised, you only collected so much in 1 day. Su Qingyu raised both hands. Yes, sir. My hands are stiff and the skin on my fingertips is cracked. It took a long time to wash off the tea stains. A pound of tea requires 20,000 to 30,000 buds. You can only pick 1 bud at a time. Even if you use both hands at the same time, you have to pick 10,000 to 20,000 times. You have to stand for a long time, bowing your head and bending over. Sir, it's very difficult. It's hard work. I don't even want to make this money. After harvesting for a day, it was difficult to even pick up chopsticks when I came back to eat. A young man from an aristocratic family like Pei Nian was born with fine clothes and fine food, and was served by countless servants. How could he know the hard work of tea farmers? After hearing this, Pei Nian clicked his tongue and sighed, no wonder tea is so expensive. Then foreigners are willing to use war horses to trade tea with our court. Shaking his head with emotion. Manager Li couldn't help laughing when he saw Su Qing couldn't help but nod. I'm afraid Madame Su wants to raise the price with me. Su Qingyu was stunned for a moment and sighed, you noble family members really don't know how hard it is to pick tea. The mountain is so high, do we have to climb up? There are also all kinds of wild animals in the mountain. Besides, picking wild tea is different from picking it in a tea garden. It's much harder than that. Some trees are very tall and you have to climb them. You can't pick even half a caddy in a day. Manager Li and Pei Nian looked at each other, and they both understood each other's meaning. Pei Nian then said, Qing, I will discuss the price of this tea with Guan Li in advance. I will call you after we have discussed it. What? After working so hard with her, why don't you let her hear about such a big thing? Taking a look at them. Well, she's also afraid of losing her head. Just make some steady money. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, Bha Jiaoye 11U. Chapter 246. After leaving the flower hall, Su Qingnao found Manager Pei of the outer courtyard and told him what her sister had found, so that he didn't need to send anyone to look for her anymore. Just pay attention to the news about Sudehuo. Congratulations. Finally the sisters are reunited. Yes. It's not easy. My sister also suffered a lot along the way. Seeing that Manager Kui looked like he wanted to hear it, he told him what happened to Su Qingliu, which made Manager Kui cover his chest and marvel. This is really God's blessing. I'm so lucky. If you had arrived in Fengcheng a little later, I don't know what kind of situation her mother and daughter would have ended up in. Is not that right? The two sighed for a while. Ms. Su, are you looking for a doctor? Su Qingyu nodded, yes, the mountains are closed, and the mountain people are pitiful. If you get sick, you can only carry them up the mountain to wait for death. It would be great if there are doctors willing to go into the mountains. Ms. Su has great love in her heart. Let's do this. I will keep your attention and let you know. Thank you very much. Easy to do. In the evening, Su Qingyu lay in the guest room of the governor's mansion. Although she was anxious about the price of tea, she also knew that this matter was too big, that tea was very profitable, and related to the interests of all parties. If one is not careful, the crime of smuggling may be minor, but if he is accused of having liaison with a foreign tribe, it will be a serious crime that will destroy the 9 tribes. Don't be impulsive, don't be impulsive. Life is at stake. She muttered and fell asleep. The next day, Pei Nian called her to the study. Manager Li is also in the study. Judging from the calm expressions on their faces, it seemed that they had negotiated the price. Su Qingyu also sat down calmly. After exchanging a few words, Manager Li opened the door and entered the mountain. I want young sprouts and tea greens here. I have discussed the price with Mr. Pei. I will give Madame Su 1 tael of silver for 1 pound of raw tender sprouts and 100 cents for green tea greens. What do you think, Madame Su? Ah! What price is this? Isn't it said that it is sought after by aristocratic families and is more expensive than gold? 1 pound or 2? 4 or 5 kilograms make 1 kilogram of dry tea, and she holds 1 or 2 teacups in a bamboo can. Such good young tea buds, a jar only sells for a few hundred cents. 1 tael of dry tea and green tea costs only a few dozen cents. What kind of cabbage price is this? Seeing the disbelief on Su Qingyu's face, Manager Li explained, Ms. Su, you must know that it is difficult for the caravan to leave now. I know it's difficult for the caravan to leave, but things are also expensive. After selling the tea, I still have to buy daily food, and all of this costs money. And Manager Li knows that we are not a tea garden, we are wild tea in the mountains. If it is a tea garden and the tea farmers manage it carefully, then the yield, 2 to 300 kilograms of dry tea per mu in a year, will not be a problem, but our yield is 10, neither one nor the other. 1 tael of silver and 1 pound of sprouts, she had to share equally with Pei Nian and Ma Gandhi. What about the one who makes a lot of money by selling tea? I know. The yield of wild tea cannot be compared with that of tea gardens. Manager Li explained. Seeing that Manager Li didn't get to the point, Pei Nian said, Ching Ching, you got this price. You don't have to settle with me or your godfather. Manager Li came to his senses and nodded, yes, Master Pei and I have agreed that our caravan will settle the profits of the 2 of them separately. What I told you just now is only for you. As for what happens to you and the mountain people, we don't care about settlement. Ah! What does it mean? Su Qingyu was stunned for a moment, her mind spinning rapidly. Settle accounts separately with Ma Gandhi and Pei Nian? Godfather Ma may want horses, but what does Pei Nian want? Looking back and forth on their faces. So, the final price of tea is not something she can know? That 1 pound of tender tea is 1 tael of silver, and the green tea is 100 cents. How much can she get? The yield of wild tea in the mountains cannot be compared with that of tea gardens. Based on what she saw in the mountains a few days ago, it would be a blessing to be able to get 10 kilograms of dry tea from 1 acre. The dried tea leaves should weigh about 100 pounds. How many kilograms could she harvest in the spring and autumn of that year? She got 5 or 6,000 taels from selling tea seeds. The tea leaves can't be bad, right? Su Qingyu's mind was spinning rapidly. Suddenly she saw Pei Nian winking at her and paused. Forget it, that's it, no more arguing with the big guys. If you can get a little bit, that's a little bit. Okay. I agree. I'm afraid that Manager Li and Mr. Pei have already discussed it. I don't know anything about the affairs of the court. I'm just a commoner in the mountains. I can make a stable income, enough to support my son. Manager Li admired her attitude very much and laughed. You have so many mountains in your hands, enough for you to raise 10 or 8 sons. That's not enough. Sukingyu shook her head. My son's father said in a letter that he got some gold on the battlefield. He was very happy at first, so he dug in the ground and hid it. After knowing that he had a son, he started to worry about getting his son married and buying a property. Before, I felt that half of the money was lost. The gold allocated to me was quite considerable, but when I learned that I had a son, I immediately felt that it was not enough. Ha ha ha. This time not only did Manager Li laugh out loud, Pei Nian even doubled over with laughter. If you hire a daughter from a wealthy family, it might not be enough. After Pei Nian finished speaking, he and Manager Li laughed again. Sukingyu also enjoyed it. One is that Lu Bachan is coke, and the other is that in business, no matter how you look on the outside, you have to look good on the outside. Sukingyu originally wanted to talk about the white waxworm and use this as a fulcrum to support her money, but she thought about the tea and swallowed it back. Let's wait and see. I'm afraid they will have to deal with the tea issue. In the end, Manager Li paid her 2,000 taels of silver to collect tea leaves in the mountains. After a while, master chefs will be sent into the mountains to fry and then transport them out of the mountains, and then go to Renzhou City for packaging. Sukingyu agreed. Promised to make arrangements. Finally, she made an appointment with Mr. Pei to enter the mountain. Sukingneo asked him to help send the letter to Chenzhou. As usual, she bought some daily necessities and food from Manager Li's caravan before leaving. When leaving, I went to see the store where she bought it. It has 5 bays, is very large, and is still very new. It needs almost no repairs before it can be opened. But she still had a lot to do next, so she closed the shop and returned to Beijiazai. After returning to the village, she immediately organized people to go to the construction site and informed the village owners that she was going to collect tea. As for what purchase price to set, you can pick at least 1 pound of buds a day, and for experienced hands you may need to double that. But if the tree is tall, I'm afraid it will be discounted. If it is tea green, there is no problem in picking 10 pounds a day. We can't let the mountain people think that this money is easy to make, otherwise no one will do serious work. Sukingyu finally set the price, 300 wen per caddy for young buds, 30 wen per caddy for chaking, 1 bud and 1 leaf, 1 bud and 2 leaves, and 3 leaves. As soon as the news came out, it once again caused a sensation in all the copycat villages. The mountain people came out in full force and surrounded their respective village masters, asking him to find out whether the news was true or false. The village leaders were also confused, and they didn't know whether it was true or false. Who told them not to live in Beijiazai? Is the president going crazy again? The village leaders didn't pause for a moment and immediately rushed towards Sukingyu. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, Bhjiaoye 11U. Chapter 247. The leader of Zongjai trotted to Sukingyu's house out of breath, but when he got to the courtyard, he found that he couldn't squeeze in. Read. I saw the women from Beijiazai surrounding Sukingyu. The leader of Zongjai stood on tiptoe and saw Sukingyu talking to everyone about what buds were, what tea greens were, and how to pick them. Zongjai was listening very excitedly and stretched his neck to look inside. He saw that the women in the inner circle had turned around and ran out. The crowd almost knocked him to the ground. He had no choice but to dodge back and forth. Oh my God, I don't respect the elderly at all. What if it causes a stampede? He also wanted to go back and carry the basket up the mountain. He is also very nimble with his hands and feet, no worse than the women. However, another important question came to mind. He squeezed to Sukingyu's side and said, Kingyu, if you do this, I'm afraid the people in the market town will be unstable. Sukingyu also thought about this problem. After thinking for a while, he said, notify each village that each family must provide a laborer to work in the market town. If there are no male laborers, Women will do it. If there is really no one to do the work, record it in the book. In the future, we will use other methods or money to pay for the work that must be done in the alliance. I'm afraid a group of people will have to be rotated over in the market town. In order to prevent the new workers from being unfamiliar with the job, Uncle Joan, you and my family, see Yuan, need to inform you there and work hard to inspect the work there. Okay. I understand. This is fair. No one will complain. Zongjai Master and Si Yuan set off immediately and rushed to the market town and various villages to inform them. The village owners and villagers who came to Beijiazai to inquire about the news immediately turned around and returned to their own villages after receiving the exact information on the way. The return trip took half as long as the trip back. We have never felt so short of time. 300 yen per pound. The woman in my family is very nimble and can pick a lot in a day. Another said, I have a large family, and I might be able to earn several taels of silver a day. Everyone thought about the feeling of having coins thrown into their arms, their faces bloomed with joy, and the wind blew under their feet. As soon as they got back to the village, everyone ran to the mountains. Carrying baskets, sacks, baskets, dry food and water, and families, they ran up the mountain for fear of being late than others. The villagers of Beijiazai had already rushed to the top of the mountain early. The village became quiet again, not even the dogs barked. Sukingliu is also eager to try, she is very diligent. I also want to do my part. But Sukingneo asked her and Lu's mother and daughter to check the quality of the tea sent by the mountain people at home. When there was only the last trace of ashes left in the mountains, people from Beijiazai came to the Suk family one after another carrying their burdens. Most of the tea buds were delivered. After all, as soon as everyone heard that young sprouts cost 300 cents per caddy, they no longer paid attention to tea leaves costing 300 cents per caddy. It was only when I went up the mountain that I realized how easy it was to pick these young buds. There is only one bud per branch. Some people harvest only a few taels and a half caddy in a day, and the largest one weighs just over a caddy. Sukingyu had expected this. If the sprouts are so good, can they cost 300 yuan a pound? If you can pick 20 or 30 kilograms a day, I'm afraid the whole family can eat it at home in the next year. Sukingyu took Lu's mother and daughter, and Sukingliu carefully inspected the buds sent by everyone in Beijiazai. After Sukingyu collected mountain products and tea seeds last year, everyone knows Sukingyu's style. If it is not up to standard, it will really be rejected, but there is no mercy. Therefore, there are less adulterations in it that do not meet the requirements. Sukingyu poured the buds sent by everyone into a large bamboo dustpan, spread them out, inspected them, picked out the unqualified ones and impurities, and then weighed and settled the rest. No ambiguity at all. Although everyone was inexperienced on the first day and didn't pick much, everyone was overjoyed when they got their hands on copper coins, ranging from dozens of copper coins to more than 200 to 300 copper coins. I took the money and thanked him again and again before leaving. Sukingyu was still picking up the sprouts sent from Beijiazai, and the two tea frying masters sent by Manager Li over there had already set up the pot and started to work. Sukingyu discussed with them for a day and found out that both of them were experienced tea frying masters, so she didn't worry anymore. The whole family gathered around to watch. Before the tea was ready, another group of older men and women arrived. Seeing that everyone in the family has made money, they can't climb the mountain and can only worry about it at home. Then they agreed to go to Sukingyu to ask for some work. When they were picking tea fruits, they could help peel and dry the tea seeds at home, but now they don't even bring the tea home with them, so it's none of their business. This won't work. They also have to contribute. I really have something to do with you. I need a lot of bamboo dustpans, drying mats, and drying racks. If you can do it, help me make some. I want them all. The old man and the old lady nodded happily. Okay, we can do that. We can make several at home in a day. Don't worry, we will chop bamboo when we get back. It's too late. Sukingyu looked at the sky. It's not too late, there are bamboos in front of the house and behind the house, and you can still see them. Alright. You can't stop others from making money, right? The two tea frying masters fried all the dozens of kilograms of sprouts sent by the villagers overnight before falling asleep. The whole family fell into a good sleep, smelling the fragrance of tea that filled the courtyard. In the evening of the next day, the tea sent by Beijiazai contained not only buds, but also tea greens. Girls and women like buds the most, so almost all the gifts are buds. Men and older women bring tea. Picking buds requires so much patience, it is a delicate job. If you don't pay attention, it will be cut off and crushed. However, although the price of tea green is low, the quantity is large and the money earned is quite high. An ant with quick hands collected more than 20 kilograms. I got more than 600 coins and jumped for joy. But there are more unqualified tea greens than young shoots. There were a lot of tea stems and old leaves mixed in, which made Sukingyu and others' eyes dazzled. In the end, I really couldn't choose, so I left the person who delivered the tea on site. You pick mine and I pick yours. Only when the tea leaves are qualified will they be weighed and the money calculated. No one has any opinions. The copper plates were hanging in front of my eyes, and I didn't feel tired at all. In the Su family, I just picked them all. The two chefs worked until dawn that day and couldn't finish cooking. I feel like I can't bear it anymore. The people in Beijiazai will pick more for 2 more days, and their hand speed will increase. As novices become more experienced, the amount will only increase. And I'm afraid that other villages will also send tea. Even if the two of them speculated non-stop for 12 hours, they might not be able to make it. One person can fry 30 or 40 kilograms of dry tea a day, which is incredible. Fortunately, at noon on the third day, Manager Lee sent 6 more tea frying masters. The backyard of Sukingneo's house was occupied, and all the vegetables grown by the Lu family were pulled out, a bamboo shed was set up, and 8 large pots were set up in one row. Sukingneo invited 8 women from Xinzai to come back to make fires. This solved the frying problem. From the third day onwards, Sukingyu was not idle for a moment. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, Bhaya 11U. Chapter 248. Throughout the day, people from various villages were bringing tea. Everyone in the family is very busy. After weighing the money, he couldn't count it, so Sukingneo had to call a few women from Xinzai to come over. This can be regarded as solving the dilemma of Sukingleu, Ruyi, and others. It's just that I can't live in the house anymore. All the side rooms were slept in and turned into bunk beds. It was packed to the rafters. A few days passed like this, and many people from other villages also came to bring tea. Many of them had traveled several mountains to deliver the tea after getting the news, and the journey was full of dust. Sukingyu did not reject them just because they were outside the alliance. It's all money, so there's no way you can have trouble with money. These people from other villages originally thought that everyone was just living in the mountains and everyone was the same. Why did the nearby villages suddenly join the 28 villages alliance? There are also various actions frequently. This is to keep them far away. This won't work. So I pricked up my ears and listened to what was going on over there. Last year they were collecting mountain goods and tea seeds, but they received the news late and didn't catch up. It's winter, and we know they are building a market town, and everyone is staring at it with green eyes. They have a market town. Why don't we? Can we go too? Will they kick us out? Always keep an eye on the movements of this so-called alliance village. If you have relatives, friends, or children who live in the 28 villages, you will inquire about them from time to time. Didn't they find out that they were collecting tea leaves? Can't leave them behind. We all belong to this big mountain. We don't care if they are from the same area. Anyway, it's in a big mountain. We cannot be left behind. You eat meat, and we also want to drink soup. So, the whole family immediately went up the mountain. After picking the tea leaves, they hurriedly transported them here. Along the way, my heart was clenched, fearing that they would not accept it. Sukingnao treated the tea sent from other villages equally. But maybe they didn't understand her request, and the tea they picked contained many impurities. Sukingyu explained to them while checking. When these people from other villages saw that the president of the alliance was young, they did not exclude them and treated them equally. They also patiently explained to them the key points of picking. The key point is, she's counting her silver, and she's ready to pay. When the villagers in the outer village got the money, they still looked in disbelief. Make money. We made money. I was excited and happy at the same time. After thanking him again and again, he picked up the burden and immediately turned around and ran home. They want to go back and tell their families and the people in the village that this president is accepting our tea. So more and more people ran to the mountains. The mountain was crowded with people. Some of the villagers had children marrying in these 28 villages, and they got the news early. As for those who were related by relatives, they also got the news a little later. The rest of the people who had nothing to do with it also got the news from these people, one by one, and from 10 to 10 places. A while ago, news of the tea harvest in Beijiazai spread throughout the mountains. Then, more and more villages became aware of the 28 village alliance. Naturally, I also learned about the news that they were building a market town. More and more people rushed to the place where the market town was built to check the authenticity. When I came to take a look, I saw 2-story buildings rising from the ground, and the streets in the market town had begun to take shape. I was very excited after seeing it. There is a market town in the mountains. Then I thought about it, this is their market town. Can they also benefit from it? Why are they not from the 28 villages? If we move here too, will they kick us out? More people's hearts are moved. And the vast majority of people who got the news are also waiting and watching. There are market towns in the mountains, and they can buy their daily necessities in the mountains without leaving the mountains. People outside the mountains are complicated. Some of them have never been out of the mountains for generations. But Sukingnao only knew that not only her family, but the entire Beijiazai was enveloped in the fragrance of tea every day. I've been smelling it for almost half a month, and it hasn't dissipated at all. It's getting stronger and stronger. Now that Sukinglao has been mastered by her, she can completely stand on her own. Sukingyu then headed towards Xinzai. Gotta breathe some fresh air. He threw the little treasure to Sukinglao and ran away with Ziyuan. Sukingyu has already thought of a name for Xinzai village, which is called Xinjianzai. It is not only a new village, but also means the beginning of a new life. Dozens of people no longer live in caves. A place for everyone to live was first built in Xinjianzai, with 2 big bungalows for men and women, and then they have recently been working in the village and building a village. When Sukingyu arrived, she saw that her mountain had changed its appearance. It turns out that the mountains are green and full of bushes. Now there are more than a dozen small buildings and courtyards erected according to the mountain tops, all in a well-proportioned pattern. The mountain roads are carved with steps and winding up. The prototype of a village has emerged. Sukingyu watched from a distance, very satisfied. This is her village, and I feel a sense of accomplishment just looking at it. Well, there is still a need for a village gate, a trench, and the defensive fortifications must be built to be unbreakable. She wants her people to live and sleep peacefully. It's just that this matter is not urgent. We should develop the economy first and then deal with people's livelihood. Anyway, with these several villages surrounding it, it's pretty safe. It is important to build a village and develop the economy. My boss. My boss. Everyone who saw her greeted her. Sukingyu nodded in response. I can't remember so many people, they are all her people anyway. She has to protect her people. Scanning their faces again, they were completely different from when they first met. After tidying up, eating well and sleeping well, my mental outlook is completely different. He is also energetic at work. Building your own home with your own hands is a different feeling. My boss Yang Shang came with the account book in hand, followed by Wei Fuking. Sukingyu greeted the two of them and looked at Wei Fuking. Xiang Shang said, Brother Wei, not only can you calculate accounts and read account books, but the blueprints for building this house are also very clear. After his planning, the village is more reasonable and I have less to worry about. Oh, this Wei Fuking is still a treasure? Wei Fuking said modestly, it's not worth mentioning. There are still many things I need to ask Brother Xiang for advice. The two were humble to each other. Sukingyu said to Wei Fuking, you are different from the people in this village. You are the benefactor of my sister and niece. You just need to be more comfortable. You can stay in this village for as long as you want. I welcome you. Thank you, MRSU, for taking me in. I think this mountain is very good, and this Xinjianzai is a place to raise people. I will stay here and not leave. Welcome Sukingyu and Xiang Shang both said to him. Sukingyu looked around and said to them, everyone looks different. Xiang Shang had a smile on his face. Before, he was worried about the safety and food and clothing of his family, but now he is no longer worried and is full of energy every day. He glanced at the construction site and said, everyone can eat well during the day and sleep well at night. After more than a month of raising it, it will naturally be well maintained. Moreover, we are building a house for ourselves, and no one spares any effort. Sukingyu nodded. As I walked and looked around, I saw that Xiang Shang had arranged his work in an orderly manner, and I was satisfied with his work ability. Xiang Shang pointed to a place and said to her, that is the center of the village, and it will be the landowner where the Dong family will live in the future. I followed the drawings drawn by the Dong family and combined it with the yard where the Dong family currently lives, and circled the place, but I have not yet started construction. Now the bricks, tiles and stone strips have to wait until everyone's residence is built, and then I will take people out to buy them. But in 10 days, construction can start. Sukingyu nodded, very good. Now that she has her own village, she may have to live in Xinjianzai in the future. Before the construction started, Sukingyu did not go over to take a look. She only looked at it from a distance. The reserved space was quite large, probably much larger than the place where she currently lives in Beijiazai. He picked up the drawing, looked at it, and discussed the details with Xiang Shang. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, Bhaya 11U. Chapter 249. Then the group of people went to the kitchen house on the construction site. Nowadays, everyone still eats from one big pot, even one family at a time. In the kitchen, Mrskuo and the women were busy in an orderly manner. Sure enough, he was someone who worked in a wealthy family. Sukingyu looked at it for a while and saw that everyone was doing their own thing. There were so many people in a small place, but there was no clutter at all, and things were arranged neatly and cleanly. I secretly said Su in my heart. My boss Mrskuo walked towards her. Sukingyu smiled and nodded at her, you did a good job. Everyone greeted her one after another, and Sukingyu responded while looking at what they were eating. There are a lot of mushrooms and wild vegetables, and although the rice noodles are not good, they are quite generous. Meat is also available. Mrskuo explained to her, now that food is expensive outside, we all eat less staple food. There is no shortage of meat every day. There are also many mushrooms and wild vegetables. Everyone eats well. I ordered people to wash some of the mushrooms. Saved. Sukingyu nodded, we want to save money, but we can't let everyone go hungry. You're full. Eating better than what we used to eat at home. Everyone said in unison. Sukingyu smiled and nodded, that's good. Once everyone's residence is built, we will start to reclaim the mountainous land in a few days. From now on, we will grow our own food and eat, so we will no longer be short of food. Okay, there was a smile on his face. Boss, we are all farmers. We can do all the work in the fields. We must do the work in the fields well. Good. Since planting was the next big thing, Sukingyu wandered around the village for 2 days. I got to know some farmers who were familiar with things in the crop fields, and took them to see the entire village and mark out the area where they wanted to grow food. I also selected a piece of land with Lingfeng Valley and planned to open a medicinal field to grow some medicinal materials. The names and prices of the medicines obtained from Dr. Xiaosong in Fengcheng had already been told to Lingfeng, and he also took some of them with his family. I just want to stock up more and sell a batch to Fengcheng. After delineating various planting areas, Sukingyu walked on the mountain again. There are also some wild teas on this mountain, and Sukingneo also sent a few women up the mountain to pick tea, but not much every day. Xinjianzai is now short of manpower. She went to see where the tea trees grew on the mountain, and planned to arrange for the tea trees to be transplanted after spring plowing. She can't wait for the camellia seeds, but by planting tea trees, she can harvest tea in 2 years. Anyway, there are big bosses covering you. Even if we can no longer sell tea in the future, we can still harvest tea seeds. After wandering around for 2 days, I found that there were many ash trees on the mountain. Sukingneo saw that some young children had also recovered, so she summoned them and asked them to look for the eggs of the ash beetles. Children can do this job. Children treat this like a toy, are sharp-eyed and patient. There are no wild animals in her mountain. They are safe. She can rest assured when the children enter the mountain. Xiang Shang and Wei Fukane were a little confused about why she asked Waza to find the white waxworm. Sukingyu briefly introduced them to them. The two of them were so shocked that they didn't even close their mouths. I decided immediately to speed up the construction of the village. Then plant grain and raise white waxworms. Then plant ash trees and plant tea trees. The arrangement was clear, and she was more considerate than the leader of the village. Okay, then I'll leave this matter to you two. Please refine the personnel files in the village and make sure that everyone can bring out their strengths. Although we are a new village, we must take the lead. Effect. Understood, that's what the boss said, we must make this village the leading village in getting rich. Sukinjeo laughed, that's what I said, but we are short of manpower now and the village is not large. Although she is the president of the alliance, she wants to do something, and there may be more people in each village watching. It is still necessary to have a team of one's own that fully implements one's own orders and executes them as soon as they are given. Sometimes others have to see the benefits before they follow. Xiang Shang heard what she said and said, I can find some people from outside for my boss. Sukingyu looked at Xiang Shang and shook his head for a while, let's put some pressure on it first. Let's settle the dozens of people now. Take your time, step by step, don't be anxious. Yes. Wei Fukane took a steady look at Sukingyu, smiled at her and nodded. Sukingyu was a little confused by his action. Seeing that he had no intention of speaking, he ignored him. After staying in Xinjianzai for 3 days and planning things, Sukingyu went to the market town again. Originally, she thought that leaving all the important tasks of building the village to Xiang Shang was a bit too labor-intensive, but she didn't expect that Wei Fukane was very capable. If these two people join forces, the village with dozens of people will be able to be clearly arranged by the two of them. Over in the market town, after one family started working together, although they were unfamiliar at first, everyone got started quickly, and with more people, the project progressed quickly. Although everyone is eager for the 300 cash per pound of tea, it doesn't mean that they can't pick again after picking this crop. The president said that autumn tea needs to be harvested again. And market towns are a century-old event. Can't ignore it. Otherwise, the village owner will drive them out of the village. Besides, there are people in the family who earn money by picking tea by hand, and every family has one worker, so everyone is fair. Suking Nao stayed there for a few days and saw that nothing went wrong, everything was going according to the drawings and plans, and the village owners were supervising and managing the village in batches, so she returned to Beijiazai with peace of mind. The purchase of tea in the village is a big deal. Now not only manager Li's caravan is watching, but also Painian and Ma Mingwen are involved. People from several parties are watching, but there is no chance of anything going wrong. When Sukingyu returned to the village, Xiaobao rushed towards her as usual. But there is no such sullen expression as before. It seems that with the company of Sukingyu and Yaya, the child is much less dependent on Sukingyu. Second aunt, my mother made sweet cakes with honey for my brother and me. The two siblings pulled her from left to right. Where did you get the honey? Sukingyu looked at Yaya. After a month of nursing, flesh has grown on Yaya's face, her chilblains have been cured, and her face has returned to its fair and rosy appearance. She looks like a lively and cute little girl. Sukingyu came up to us, it was sent by the mountain people who came to deliver tea. I wanted to give money, but he didn't accept it. He said he was thanking us for collecting the tea and bringing income to his family. He didn't know what to give us, knowing that I have two little kids at home, so I brought them to us. Sukingyu nodded. She expected it. Ever since she collected mountain goods and tea seeds, kind-hearted mountain people would send her all kinds of things. The people in this mountain are simple and grateful. We have harvested a lot of things these days, including mushrooms, bamboo shoots, wild vegetables, and meat, Sukingyu said with emotion. She really likes this place. Yaya is also like a fish in water in the village, and she has gained a lot of flesh. Sukingyu looked at Yaya and Xiaobao, who were looking happy, and said, I found someone who knows how to keep bees. From now on, I can eat honey more often. That's great. Everything is expensive now, and I can't even bear to spend more on sugar to make some pastries for the children. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, Bhaya 11U. Chapter 250. While the sisters Sukingyu were busy in Beijiazai, Chenzhou on the other side was a different scene. Read. Ever since Guruyu knew that Qingxing still had money in her hands, even the daily necessities of Father Su, Mother Su, and the little brother and sister were in short supply. It's hard for your son to earn enough money to support his own small family, let alone such a big family. In daily affairs, her dowry money is not used. Since you still have money, buy whatever you need. No need to reach out to me. But Qingxing was unwilling to spend the money. She followed the adults to escape all the way, knowing that there must be a way out in everything. Besides, it's not like we're at the end of our rope yet. The money just won't come out. Besides, you are the eldest son and daughter-in-law, so you should support your parents. Brother Qingyang and I don't have to raise you, we have nothing to say, but your attitude towards your parents makes me dissatisfied. Sometimes Qingxing couldn't help but retort to Guruyu. It's not a quarrel, it's just expressing her opinion. You won't listen to Guruyu on everything. In Qingxing's eyes, her sister-in-law's behavior was completely different from what she learned from Ma Shiniang and what she heard. Moreover, Qingxing has been studying with Sukingyu for 2 years. She is not an ordinary woman nowadays, who just accepts everything and suffers the consequences without saying a word. Her second sister said that if you have any ideas, you should have the courage to speak out. Don't tell others that they don't know what you are thinking. She didn't mean to disrespect her eldest sister-in-law, but her sister-in-law didn't always do everything right. And she didn't quarrel with her sister-in-law, she just said what she thought. This made her sister-in-law dislike her more and more. Her parents also scolded her for being ignorant. She is 9 years old. The second sister said that a person should distinguish right from wrong and know what to do and what not to do. She just didn't want to take out the money. It's not like the family doesn't have enough food to eat now. It's okay for her and her brother to pay 1 tael a month for food, but they don't eat for free. But the elder brother doesn't want it? Why did her parents scold her? Ching Xing cried sadly. Qing Yang comforted her. Ching Xing sobbed, "Brother, I want to find the second sister, I miss the second sister. It seems like there are endless tears to wipe away, just because I miss my second sister. She doesn't want to stay here anymore." So Qing Yang handed her the handkerchief. "I miss my second sister too, but we can't embarrass my brother. Then my parents are following my brother, can't we go find the second sister? Brother won't let us leave. Shall we write a letter and ask the second sister to pick us up?" So Qing Yang paused, "But there are so many outsiders outside. My brother will be worried. And I'm also worried about my second sister. But I don't want to stay here anymore. I miss my second sister and Xiaobao." Qing Xing cried uncomfortably. Su's father and Su's mother listened outside the door for a long time, and left in tears. The couple sat opposite each other in the room, silent. After a long while, Su's mother wiped away her tears and said, "Don't I know what Ruyu did was wrong, but what can I do? Can I scold her? I can only scold Qing Xing." While crying, he said, "I took the 200 taels that Qing's concubine gave us to buy a house for us, but now we don't have a house, and we are even short of food. I don't know, isn't it easy for my son to make money? We didn't spend more money on her. In less than a year, she has collected so much money from us, isn't it enough to support us?" Mother Su complained while crying. She couldn't tell her son yet, or speak out, for fear that others would say she was the instigator of her mother-in-law. They were afraid that the discord between their husband and wife would cause dissatisfaction in the Gu family. Su's father listened silently for a long time before saying, "Did you know you asked Xing for 100 taels?" She cried so sadly. Father Su rubbed his face. "She is the flesh that has fallen off my body, how can I not hurt her? Ruyu already knows that Xing has 100 taels in her hand, and she doesn't even buy spring clothes for Xing and Qing Yang. What can I do? Do I want to see the two brothers and sisters still wearing thick coats in spring?" Father Su let out a long sigh, "I'm afraid it won't be any better if I give her the money. Maybe she thinks we have more money that we haven't handed over." Su's father was very irritable, and Su's mother's constant crying made him even more irritable. "In the past, our family couldn't spend a few taels a year, but now Song has a salary of 3 taels a month. How come it's not enough?" He couldn't understand. The couple couldn't sleep at night thinking about these conflicts at home. After a few days, the caravan delivered Su Qingyu's letter. After listening to Qin Jiang's recitation, the couple hugged each other and cried. Qing now found Qing Lu and Ya Ya. The two sisters are reunited. "King Liu, my son. My mother thought you were gone." Eldest sister found them. Yaya found them. They are all alive. Second sister found them. Qing Yang and Qing Xing also hugged each other and cried and laughed happily. Su's father wiped his tears with his sleeves. "Song, your second sister has found your eldest sister. This is great. Great. The sisters are reunited. It's great, so great." So King Song's eyes were also red, and he was finally relieved. The whole family is doing well. This is good, this is good. After Su Qing Song left, Su's father and Su's mother listened to Qing Yang Kingxing's belief several times. At night, the couple lay on the bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. Her mother, King Liu and King Yu are in the mountains. Um. You said it's safe in the mountains, right? Where is the safety in the mountains? When the army was drafted, why didn't your father and your stepmother let your brothers run into the mountains? After hearing Sue's mother mention family matters, Sue's father thought about the people and things in Kyoto village. Sighed. I don't know if they are doing well. After a while, Sue's father said again, Ching now also said that she will grow food in the mountains in the spring. From now on, she will grow food by herself, so she won't have to worry about food. Mother Sue moved her hands and hummed in a low voice. She hasn't been to the ground for a long time. For more than half a year, staying in this small square courtyard, I feel like I am going to lose myself. Mom, I feel like I'm useless. Mother Sue hummed, me too. We have nothing to do. We originally wanted to hold our grandson, but there are two wet nurses, and you won't let us hold him. She dislikes us. The couple sighed together. After a long time, Sue's father said again, her mother, you know me, right? I am very good at doing farm work. I am very strong. All my brothers combined can't compare to what I can do. Mother Sue listened to him quietly for a long time. After being married for more than 20 years, how could she not hear what he said? You want to find Ching Yu. Sue's father fell silent when he heard Sue's mother express his thoughts. After a long while, he said, we have nothing to do here. Our grandson is taken care of, and our daughter-in-law's natal family is also here, so we don't need us. Our stay here will only increase Song-er's burden. But Song-er is the eldest son. I'm also the eldest son, and my father doesn't follow me either. Is that because your father doesn't want to be with you? Your father only wants your stepmother to have a younger brother, not you. After hearing this, Sue's father's eyes darkened. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, Bha Xiaoye 11U. Chapter 251. Sue's father didn't know the meaning of that statement, so he tried again, and if we are not here, it will be much easier for Song-er. If he gets the salary, he will have no problem raising another child. Read. Sue's mother was silent for a long time and then said, then if we go to Ching's house, won't it be a burden to her? When Sue's father heard this, he became excited. King Liu is in the mountains. We just need to find a place to build a shed ourselves, otherwise we will have to live in a cave. It is also close to her and King Liu, so we can take care of each other. Then we will also reclaim some mountainous land and go up to the mountains to collect mountain products. Damn it, you are so be diligent and we won't starve. Besides, damn, we can only do the work in the fields. Song-er doesn't need us to do anything. But when we get to King Liu, we can help her. How can these two women do the work in the fields? Besides, she and King Liu have Xiaobao and Yaya with them, and there are no men around them, and their family members are, if you are not around, what if you are bullied by the people in the mountains? Mother Sue's heart twitched when she heard this. Father Sue turned his head and glanced at her in the darkness, and then said, besides, Song-er and Ching Yang also want to be with her second sister. Mother Sue was still a little hesitant, but Song-er wants to do big things with Mr. Ma. Maybe after we leave, he won't have so much to worry about. When his in-laws' family is happy, they are usually willing to promote him. Regarding the question of whether to leave or stay, the couple discussed for several nights and finally made up their mind. On this day, Su Ching Song took a rest, and the couple called him into the room. Su Ching Song was shocked after hearing this. Mom and Dad, are you going to find your sister? Sue's mother looked at him and then at Sue's father. She couldn't bear to part with either side, it was all the flesh she had shed. The two places are far apart, and I don't know when we will see each other again. Why can't we be together as a family? Mother Su's eyes became wet again. Father Su nodded at Suqing's song. Well, your sister is in the mountains and is safe. Besides, your sister said that she will open up wasteland to grow food in the spring. Your mother and I know nothing but farm work, so we can't help you here. In the future, when your mother and I grow food, we will save it for you and my grandson, so you don't have to carry so much burden. Suking Song's throat choked up after hearing this. It's not like he didn't know that Guruyu had a rift with her parents, siblings. Anyway, every family has such trivial matters. His parents are enlightened people, and his younger siblings are also sensible. He just needs to give his wife more advice. He thought it would be better if he stayed longer. But this has only been less than a year. His parents and siblings were not comfortable living there and wanted to leave, but it was all because of his fault. Suqing Song felt full of self-blame. Su's father felt uncomfortable seeing him like this. Son, I know you are the eldest son and feel that it is your responsibility to support your parents and your younger siblings, but my parents don't want to put too much burden on you. Your mother and I are still young, we can still work and support ourselves, so I don't want to put a burden on you. Just raise my eldest grandson well. When Ruyu's body is well taken care of, you can have a few more children. Later, when your parents get old and can no longer work, you can support us in our old age. Mom and Dad, I'm useless. Suqing Song knelt down towards the couple in tears. Su's mother had tears in her eyes just now, but as soon as her eldest son knelt down, she couldn't hold back anymore. He knelt down, held his son in his arms, and cried together with his son. It's not that my son is useless, it's that my parents are useless. My parents didn't help you. Your parents don't know anything and can only work in the fields. Suqing Song shed tears. Mom, don't say that. We are originally farmers. I don't understand anything and can't do anything well. I often think of our family's days in Kyoto village. His wife thought that his illiteracy was blocking his way to promotion, so he learned to read from his younger brother. It is very difficult to recognize a few words every night. His wife thinks he is dull and doesn't know how to be polite, so he has learned to flatter and socialize. But he didn't want any of this. He just wanted to go back to Kyoto village, where his whole family was together. We go to work in the fields together and finish work together and go home together. The whole family is together. Although I am a little tired physically, I am not tired mentally. Beijing. Suking Nao didn't know that Chenzhou City, and because of her letter, caused her family to struggle and make choices. After collecting tea leaves for a month, I was extremely busy. Xiaobeo's second birthday was forgotten. It was Suking Liu who reminded her that she remembered. So I had a lively birthday for Xiaobeo in the village, made a lot of snacks, and invited the children in the village to come and play with him. He jumped up and down with joy, and his cheerful laughter could be heard in the yard all day long. Shortly after Xiaobeo's birthday, the acquisition of Chuncha came to an end. Sukingyu got 24,000 taels. Much to her surprise. Don't panic when you have money. With a wave of his hand, he gave Xiang Shang a large sum of money, asking him to improve the yard where she would live in the future and the fortifications of Xinjianzai. A century-old project must be completed. Repairing while living, etc. are not annoying enough. Xiang Shang collected the money and immediately made arrangements in a hurry. After the tea purchase was completed, Sukingyu began to direct each village to carry out spring plowing work, while collecting ash insect eggs at a high price. It's just that it's not spread as widely as the tea leaves. It's easier to do things if you have money. In Beijia village, everyone had just sold their tea, and everyone had gotten a lot of money, and they were happily counting their money at home. It's a pity, I'm afraid I have to join Madame Chiusu to get a job with money. But I didn't expect that she would collect insect eggs again. Just what is this? They all crowded to Sue's house to inquire about the news. Su Qingyu had learned before that there were more or less ash trees in every village and mountain. She had learned about the resources of each village before, and originally thought of free-range farming, which was naturally raised, but then she thought about it, and the output of free-range farming was really limited. Just like those silkworms, they are born and raised by nature. If a mountain of cocoons are harvested, they may not be able to get a silk quilt. Therefore, manual intervention is required. But she was not sure whether it could be done. I have a lot of theoretical knowledge, but I have never touched on practical matters. Therefore, she decided to conduct a pilot project in Beijiazai and Xinjiazai first. Spring plowing is still important right now. So this time, she only knew that she would go to Beijiazai to collect the eggs of the white waxworm. Let half the grown UPS in the village go look for it. Other laborers still have to go all out to open up wasteland and prepare for spring plowing. She spent so much money to buy seeds not for them to use as food. The children were careful, thinking about contributing to the family, and they were holding back their energy. Moreover, the children climbed trees more efficiently than the adults. In just a few days, she gained a lot. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, Bhaya 11U. Chapter 252. Su Qingyu got the eggs and immediately transferred people from Xinjiazai. Read. In the personnel file, I found a person named Tong who had raised silkworms before. Let her take her daughter to worry about this matter in Xinjiazai and Beijiazai. Mother and daughter Tong fled all the way, and she was the only one left in the family. Arriving in this mountain, I had no sense of presence. I was suddenly entrusted with an important task by Su Qingyu, and I was flattered. Master, I have never raised this white wax insect before. He was frightened. Mrs. Tong was very afraid. If something went wrong, would mother and daughter be driven out of the mountain? The mother and daughter had nowhere to go, so they only had enough to eat in the mountains. I don't want to be homeless anymore. Don't worry, I haven't raised them before, and this is my first time. You can raise them just like silkworms, but one should be raised in the silkworm room and the other on the tree. You just need to be more careful in normal times, and this year you will be more careful. Give it a try. Su Qingyu comforted her. Having said that, how could Tong's mother and daughter dare to neglect? After accepting the assignment, I focused entirely on raising white wax insects. Although Su Qingyu said it was a pilot project in the first year, she did not dare to ignore it at all. No one in the mountains knows yet that the white stuff attached to the ash trees is actually the secretion of ash insects. No one knows what this white secretion is for. All the people who cut down trees to build houses avoided the ash tree, thinking it was dirty. But the dirtier it was, the happier Su Qingyu was. It means that the white waxworm secretes a lot. The more she got, the happier she was. How to make it more abundant is to catch more eggs and put them there, let them grow, multiply, and then secrete more substances. After being fried in boiling water, this white substance will turn into white wax, one of the two most commonly used waxes in ancient times. After Su Qingyu came to Shuo dynasty, she discovered that the main lighting tools for ordinary people now are oil lamps. Candles only appear in high-ranking families and the aristocratic class of the palace. During the Han dynasty, candles became a tribute treasure due to their scarce output. Although the Shuo dynasty candles did not become tribute treasures, they were still expensive and could not be used by ordinary people. Nowadays, the waxes used by wealthy households are mainly yellow wax and white wax. Most of them are yellow wax. There is a record of yellow wax in Compendium of Materia Medica Volume 39 Kongbu honey wax written by Li Shizhen of the Ming dynasty. The honey is taken, refined, filtered into water, and left to condense. If the color is yellow, the common name is yellow wax. The more expensive ash is made from a substance secreted by the ash tree's parasite, the ash worm, during its growth. Su Qinjiao remembered that the story of Shichong and Wang Kai's fight for wealth in the Western Jin dynasty was recorded in Shishuok Xinyu. The original text is, Wang Junfu cooked the pot with rice cakes, and Shi Jilun used candles to cook. That is to say, the two rich men at that time were competing for wealth. Wang Kai said that his family used sugar water to cook pots, but Wang Chong was not to be outdone and said that his family used candles as firewood. This shows how precious candles are. As for candles, by the Jin dynasty, most of them were yellow wax. This yellow wax has a high price due to its low production volume. The lower yield and less common white wax is more expensive than yellow wax. During the Tang and Song dynasties, as the national power of the Central Plains region increased significantly, the people's demand for pewter wax increased day by day. As a result, ash trees, as the most common host of ash bugs, began to be widely planted. Especially in the southwest and other regions, large-scale ash tree planting and ash insect breeding began to appear. Su Qingyu remembered that it was recorded in Geixin miscellaneous knowledge that in the society at that time, the benefits of raising white waxworms were similar to raising silkworms. The income from raising silkworms per acre far exceeds the income from planting 1 acre of land. Therefore, this white wax is Su Qingyu's next goal of getting rich. And stocking white waxworms is the key among the keys. Su Qingyu told Tong and her daughter some things to pay attention to. The mother and daughter didn't know how to read, so they captured Gu Siming, the grandson of Gu Hunged from the village, to help record the records. They also found a few women from the Xinjiang village, and they started to fumble around. Su Qingyao followed them for a few days and saw that they were very busy, so she put the matter aside and concentrated on spring plowing. To get rich, you have to fill your stomach first. The market town was completed before the busy spring plowing, so Su Qingyu took Si Yuan there to inspect and accept it. The main project in the market town has been completed, leaving some finishing work. Most of the workers have gone back to their respective villages to prepare for spring plowing, and there are only a few left who are busy finishing the work. Su Qingyu stood on the mountainside and looked down at the market town in the mountain Col. I just feel that a surge of pride arises spontaneously. She wanted to shout, "This is my kingdom." There was an unspeakable excitement and pride in my chest. Seeing that the mountain Col that was originally overgrown with trees and weeds slowly turned into the market town she wanted to look up to the sky and roar. Ahem, keep a low profile. He endured the excitement and walked to the market town. Although the size of the market town in the mountain Col cannot be compared with that of Fengting town, it is because the flat land and gentle slopes in the mountains are limited and the layout is not wide. But it serves no fewer people than Maple Pavilion. There are 28 villages, and the number of people is a few thousand. And there will only be more and not less in the future. She believes that there will be a second and third phase of the project in the future. Now refugees from all over the country are running into the mountains. As long as she completes the defense fortifications and solves the food problem, these mountains will be a paradise in troubled times. Su Qingyu turned around and was very satisfied. I saw some carpenters and their apprentices making shelves for various shops, and they even came up to encourage everyone. I think it will be open to the public soon after the busy spring plowing for half a month and after Master Pei has been invited to see it. After visiting the market town, Su Qing'an went to each village to inspect the spring plowing. The spring plowing work in each village was in full swing. They had little experience in other things, but everyone knew how to farm. They had never done much before and didn't know how to start. Moreover, there were many mountain products in the mountains, including wild vegetables, mushrooms, and meat. The yield of grain in the mountains was low, and everyone didn't know how to increase the yield, so they just planted it wherever they could, and reclaimed 1 or 2 acres of the gentle slopes in front of and behind the house, as long as the whole family was not hungry. There was no such thing as scale or not. but Suchingen wanted thousands of hectares of terraced fields, rolling rice waves, and full warehouses of grain. Being hungry was too uncomfortable. Because there was no food to eat, leaving home and fleeing was simply hell on earth. If we have the conditions, we should work hard to grow crops. If we don't have the conditions, we should create them and work hard to reclaim wasteland and grow crops. Zhezhong and Suchingen stood on the terraces of Beijia village, looking at the crowded terraces, and were so excited that they burst into tears. If our village had been like this before, my son wouldn't have to leave the village to make a living. You have a son. Zhezhong stopped crying and rolled his eyes at her. I don't have a son, so how did Xiu'er come out? Well. Okay, she said the wrong thing. Who told her that when she met him and Xiu'er, there were only the grandfather and grandson in the family? No news. Zhezhong shook his head. I don't know if he is alive or dead. Suchingen glanced at him and comforted the old man. Maybe he is a high-ranking official in another place, with many wives and concubines and children around him. It would be great if he had that ability. I'm afraid he would have gone to see his unlucky mother early. Okay, it's all sad. Let's talk about food. If there is a good harvest in autumn, there will be no place to store food, right? Zhezhong rolled his eyes at her again. It's a good harvest. Are you still worried about no place to store food? There are so many caves, warm in winter and cool in summer, which one can't be stored. Yeah, it seems so. She doesn't have to worry about building a warehouse. But is it reliable?